Hi everybody, I'm at Peggy's Cove, Nova Scotia today, and I wanted to answer an email I got from someone earlier this week. And they said, I've been watching a lot of the commencement addresses that happened recently at the graduations around the country, and I wanted to ask you, if you were going to give a commencement address, what would be the key piece of leadership advice that you would give to the graduates? And I think it would be this: feel free to dismiss the judgments of anyone who is not as happy as you are. Because the world is filled with people who judge themselves by comparing themselves to other people. And I don't think that leaders do that. But so many people do that it means that most of us will be inundated with other people's judgments for our whole lives. We're going to get judged on how much money we make. We're going to get judged on what our job title is. We're going to get judged by whether or not we're in the right type of relationship for however old we are. We're going to be judged by other people taking their conception of success, looking at our life and deciding whether or not we deserve the title successful or not. Feel free to dismiss the judgments of anyone who is not as happy as you are. Because anyone who is not as happy as you are has no credibility in passing judgment on your life. I'm not saying you should ignore what other people have to say, but what I am saying is that if they're not as happy as you are, feel free to dismiss the judgments they have about your life. I think there's a difference there. And ultimately, people with a powerful personal culture of leadership, that's the measuring stick they use to determine whether or not to take a judgment to heart and whether or not to lay it to the side and to dismiss it. I was on a phone call recently with this amazing woman. I hadn't talked to her in too long. And she said something in the middle of our conversation that stopped me dead. And she said, happiness has to be cultivated. And I love that idea. That means we have to take a little bit of time each day to plant some happiness for ourselves and make sure that it stays in our lives. And then we grow it day after day. In that spirit, what I want to do is suggest an experiment for the upcoming week. On Sunday, hang the photograph of someone that you love from the rearview mirror of your car. And if you don't drive, paste a photograph of someone you love to the back of the door you walk out of every single day to go to work or to go to school. And then on Monday, walk up to somebody that you really love and say, hey, let's go for a 10-minute walk every day this week at whatever time. On Tuesday, I want you to take 5 pieces of your favorite candy. I want them to put them on the passenger seat of your car or on your desk, and I want you to make sure that you have one every day for the rest of the week. For the next 4 days after that, pick one thing every day that you could do that makes you smile, one thing that makes you happy, and then keep doing the other things as well. So what happens is that photograph you put up on day 1, it's still there on day 2 and 3. That walk that you're taking on day 2, it's still there on 3 and 4. The candy is still there on days 4, 5, and 6. What happens is you've cultivated a little bit of happiness for 7 straight days. And on day 7, at the end of the week, you're going to have 7 key pieces of things that make you smile that you are responsible for putting into your life. I've seen a lot of this 100 days of happiness online, and I like the sentiment. I think it's cool, but I think it'd be way cooler if we had a day with 100 moments of happiness every day. 365 days filled with 100 of moments of happiness each. But we're not going to have that happen if we don't cultivate that happiness, if we don't take an effort every day to plan it and create it. So spend 1 week where each day you add 1 more piece of happiness where you still benefit from the happiness you created the day before. And if we keep making that a part of our personal leadership culture, what's going to happen is eventually our days are going to be filled with so much happiness that we're going to have more happiness than most of the people around us. We're going to be able to dismiss the judgments of people who are judging not us, but they're actually judging themselves. And I think that people who are able to do that, fundamentally, there's no more powerful leadership tool than joy. And I think if we can generate that for ourselves, we're all going to be better off. All the best.